G'day, let's have a look at these Knipex electrical installation pliers. These are 200 millimeters, so 200 millimeters from the top to the bottom of the tool. So quite a big head on them, but that's because they have a whole lot of different functions and features there. So I think they've got 6. So to start off with, we've got that really nice cutter there to cut cable. Just up above that, we've got 2 different size strippers. So between 0.7 and 1.5 millimeter, and then 2.5 millimeter cable there. Then we've got a crimp, so a little crimp function there, and then we've got these couple of different grips on the front, and they also do have a deburring feature. So up the top, these edges here are relatively sharp, nothing to cut yourself on, but they're not polished off. And the reason for that is when you drill a hole and you know any sort of metal surface and it leaves a bunch of burrs, you can come in with this, pull it, and then just rotate that around, and as you turn that, it'll deburr that surface. So basically, this is your one-stop shop for a lot of electrical work. These cutters here are absolutely amazing. They just slice through cable super easy. Obviously, these are new, so they are very sharp, but they just cut it very smoothly. Look at that, it just absolutely melts through it. So compared to, say, a combination plier set, that cuts it very well too, but it cuts it differently. This actually cuts it by having the 2 bits push against each other, so it sort of creates that lot of pressure, and you can see it leaves that cable looking slightly off and squashed, whereas the cutting edges on these sort of work like scissors, so they come in from both sides and slice it just a little bit nicer. The cutter on this is definitely way smoother than just your standard one. So, well, you can see that we've got that cutter. You can also, in a pinch, use this to just strip thicker cable, although you will end up cutting into that other cable, so not really meant to be doing that. But just for this example, it's fine. And then we've got that stripper there, so we can put that in, pull it, and it strips that cable super quickly and super nicely. Once you've stripped that, then if you want to put any sort of crimps on this as well, just grab a couple of these crimps, twist that, chuck that on. There we go, and then that's crimped it really well. So there is just a little bit coming off the end here, but it just pushes in that whole slot there, and it just puts a really nice crimp onto it. So I'll just do another one on this just to show you. So the capacity for those crimps, as I said before, is 0.5 millimeters up to 2.5. So this is 2.5. This is up on the high side, and then you say the 0.25 is a lot smaller. So I'll just crimp that just to see how it does. There you go, and you can see it does a pretty good job with that as well. Obviously there's nothing in there, so it'd be slightly different, but it crimps it really well. And then you just have these other two bits out the front, so you can use that for other purposes. Now the other thing is, it took me quite a while to figure this out, and I had to search the internet actually to figure out what it is. But when you lock, so it does have this little lock, right? You can have, obviously this has a spring, which I very much like. So some of the tools I like having non-sprung, but this is a really handy one to have sprung. And you can lock this. So you lock it, but you see how it doesn't close it completely? It just leaves that little gap. Now, I knew this wasn't a mistake because Knipex don't make mistakes. They have their things together very well, and the build quality is exceptional. So this had to be a feature, but I just couldn't really figure out why you'd want it to stay open, because sometimes when I put this into my bag, it is a little bit annoying and stuff does get caught on this, or can get caught on this. But what I ended up figuring out, or the internet told me, is it's a feature. So you keep it unlocked as you're working, and then you cut a cable, and I've just cut that cable, I keep it closed, and then as I let it go, okay, never mind, that didn't work, let me do it again. No, okay, maybe it needs to be slightly thicker cable. But what this is meant to do is, okay, that just did it. So what this is meant to do is you cut it, and then as you cut it, that bit of tension there will push this forward and it will actually lock it in place. So the reason that's there is you can go and make your first cut. See if I can get it to do it. You can go make your first cut. Beautiful. It's locked it in place. And then that basically just locks this cutting edge. So you can see how that overlaps. You can put anything into here that you want, but you can't actually reach that cutting edge. So the thinking there is you go and you cut the cable, and then it will automatically lock it. So then when you come back in, you can just go straight into stripping and don't have to worry about accidentally pushing that cable in too far and cutting it again. So it doesn't always do it, but okay, there you go. It may be just the first few times I didn't want to do it, but it just automatically locks in place. There, so either way, that was what the internet told me that was for, and it seems to make perfect sense. So that's it. That's just a quick look and a short review of these Knipex installation pliers.